US Route 46. Alright, hello everyone, I'm Quartz 437, and today I'm going to be covering US Route 46. US 46 is a really weird US route because it exists only in New Jersey, and it is north of US routes 22, 30, 40, all these other routes that it should be south of. It is really weird. I have no idea why it's numbered that way. And it could just be a New Jersey state route like New Jersey 46 or really any other number. But, actually, the fact that it is so weird, I think makes it really interesting to talk about. So, let's take a look at the map of the route of US 46. And we can see that it goes pretty much across the entire length of New Jersey. It starts at a junction with Interstate 80 just across the Delaware River from the Delaware Water Gap in Pennsylvania. And it goes pretty much to the doorstep of New York City, ending at a concurrency with US 19 and Interstate 95 as they all go over the George Washington Bridge. But before we actually start talking about US Route 46, I should remind you all that if you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like on it. If you have any feedback for me, leave a comment down below. Or if you want to discuss this route at all. And if you really enjoyed it, please be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell. But with all that said, let us start talking about US Route 46 going eastbound. We start here on Interstate 80 eastbound as we get this sign telling us that US 46 East will be signed for Portland and Buttsville. The Portland is on there because this is the exit you'll want to take if you're going to Portland, Pennsylvania. There will be a ramp that you can use to get on a bridge that will take you back over to Pennsylvania. And I really have no idea why Buttsville is our secondary. It's an unincorporated community. Actually, the only reason I can really gather is because we have a junction with New Jersey Route 31 there. But yeah, no, I don't like seeing that on there. It really should just be like a proper town or something. Here is that ramp that I mentioned that will take you over to Portland, Pennsylvania. We have a really complex interchange here with Interstate 80, US 46, and also New Jersey Route 94. And as all these ramps come into our main line here, we get our first mileage sign with Hackettstown on the top line at 20 miles away. Netcong is on the second line at 28 miles away. And our primary bottom line here is Palisades Park at 70 miles away. And I think that does make sense because if you're going to New York, you would have just stayed on Interstate 80 because it's much faster. And just a little bit further up the road, we actually get a Welcome to New Jersey sign. So that is really cool to see. I wish you guys would put it on Interstate 80, Interstate 78, these other major roads where more people are going to be more likely to see it, but whatever, I'm just glad we get one here. Just a little bit further down the road from that, we get another mileage sign where, interestingly, now New York is on the bottom line at 76 miles away. So, I mean, that's really cool, but again, if you're on this road, your final destination probably isn't New York, so I'm not really sure what New Jersey's doing here. Although, I guess it is par for the course for the state to be really weird about their signs. Well, actually, I'm about to eat my words, I suppose, because here is the aforementioned New Jersey 31 junction, and it is getting signed south for Trenton. And that is absolutely the right choice here because New Jersey 31 is the fastest way to Trenton from here. You'll be wanting to get on this route to go down there. So, New Jersey, I am going to give you a rare W for this sign because Yeah, that is really cool that you're actually making some sense with your control cities for once. And for this reason, I say at the very beginning of US 46, like on Interstate 80, we should be signed for Trenton exactly because of this junction, and then we can be signed for Hackettstown from here. But yeah, just not Buttsville. That's stupid. And then we get another Moloch sign with New York on the bottom line at... Why did it have to be that freaking number? Here in Hackettstown, we are meeting New Jersey Route 182. And on New Jersey 182, we can see that our next eastbound control city is going to be Netcong. And as we come into Netcong, we have another interchange with Interstate 80 is getting signed east for New York City, as it should be. And we are still getting signed for Netcong here, even though we can see that entering borough of Netcong sign because we are not quite downtown yet. Here is a really nice welcome to Netcong sign. And now we meet New Jersey Route 183 is getting signed north for Newton. And south is getting signed for Somerville and New York because we can see that 2 Interstate 80 and US 206 shield right there. We also see a sign telling us that if we want to continue on US 46, we can just stay straight ahead. And on this sign, we get no control city, so that's a bit lame. If we look on New Jersey Route 183, though, we can see that our next control city will be Dover. So there's that, I suppose.
This is Sparta!
And on New Jersey Route 15, we can see that we are getting signed for Clifton, so that makes sense, I suppose. Again, if you're taking this route, you probably wouldn't be going to New York from here. You'd just hop over to Interstate 80 because it'd be faster that way. Speaking of Interstate 80, here in Denville, we have a situation where Interstate 80 crosses over us, but we have no direct access to it because, again, this is in New Jersey, and all of their interchanges are very weirdly designed. After we go through Denville, we get this mileage sign where Clifton is on the top line at 21 miles away, and New York is on the bottom line at 34 miles away, and I suppose it makes a bit more sense to start signing New York from this close out, because at this point, Interstate 80 won't be saving you as much time, but like, I don't know. You probably still could have something else on the bottom line, but I suppose it's pretty cool that we have New York here. And now we come into Parsippany. We are meeting US 202 here as we have a very, very brief concurrency with it, as it is getting signed for Butler and Whippany. Here is where US 202 splits off from us, and we can see that we are also going to go under Interstate 287 in the background, although again we have no direct access to it. Here is the way that you would go to get to northbound Interstate 287, but we have no access to southbound Interstate 287. And in fact, this whole Parsippany thing is very, very crazy. There are 4 major highways that all intersect here: 202, 46, Interstate 80, and 287. And just like, look at this, it's crazy. Look at all these junctions. It's like, oh my goodness, it is a mess. We are going under the beginning of Interstate 280 here, and again, we have no direct access to that. But we do have a ramp for Interstate 80 eastbound here, getting signed for Patterson and New York. And we are getting pulled through for the Caldwells and Montclair. We are meeting New Jersey Route 159 here, although for some reason they don't tell you that it is eastbound New Jersey 159 that you can get onto here. We just get a sign that says Bloomfield Avenue, the Caldwells, and Newark next right. But when we have an option to go on New Jersey 159 westbound, they do tell you about that. And it is getting signed Clinton Road and Plymouth Street. Again, very, very weird. Here is the last mileage sign, at least that I could find on US 46 eastbound. And once again, we get Clifton and New York. So again, I think that makes sense. Here we meet New Jersey Route 23, and it is getting signed south for Verona. Northbound, it just gets signed to Interstate 80 Service Road. And we get signed east for Clifton on this pull-through because, I mean, again, if you're going to New York, you might as well just get on Interstate 80. It'd be a little bit faster, although maybe it's not saving you a ton of time going this way. And here is an overhead look at the New Jersey 23 interchange because, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know if we're in New Jersey or Italy because, man, that is a lot of spaghetti right there. Here we meet New Jersey Route 3 and it is getting signed to Garden State Parkway southbound. Its control city is Secaucus, and we are getting signed to northbound Garden State Parkway, and we get signed for Fort Lee. Here is the entrance to the northbound Garden State Parkway, and it gets no control cities, which is really stupid. Also, this sign is in really rough condition. They should really replace that and put a control city on it. I just wanted to show this because I think it's really funny that we get a right turn with an advisory speed of 10 miles an hour. Granted, I've seen way crazier instances of right turns getting signed with an advisory speed of 10 miles an hour, like where the speed limit is much higher, but still, I just thought that was something worth showing. In any case, here we meet New Jersey Route 20, and it is getting signed to Interstate 80 Patterson. You know, if you're going to mention Interstate 80 on that sign, I feel like you really should just mention New York City, because Patterson is a suburb, and if you're going to New York, you're probably still better off taking Interstate 80, although it's probably kind of inconsequential which route you choose at this point, but The thing that I really, really do not like is the fact that we get signed for Elmwood Park, because we are in Elmwood Park at this point. This is on the very eastern edge of Clifton, where the city limits become the Elmwood Park city limits. Yeah, I think this should just say Fort Lee, honestly, because that's like the last place of significance that we're going to go to on US 46 from here. At the end of US Route 46, we get dumped into northbound Interstate 95. So here's our southbound access to Interstate 95, the New Jersey Turnpike. And it just gets signed as NJ Turnpike and Teaneck Road. How about Philadelphia? You know, you already have the New Jersey Turnpike shield thingy already up on that sign. So why not Philadelphia? Oh my goodness gracious, New Jersey. Why are you like that? Come on. This is so stupid. Just put Philly on there. You guys are so provincial and stupid. It sucks. Anyways, here we meet US 1 and 9, and we're about to have a concurrency with these routes as they get signed southbound as Broad Avenue. And we get pulled through along with US 1 and 9 for New York. We meet US 9W here, and it is getting signed for Fort Lee and Palisades Parkway. This is the last exit in New Jersey. And on this pull through here with Interstate 95, US 1 and US 9, interestingly not signed together on one shield as they seem to like to do in New Jersey. It just says G Washington Bridge, upper level, lower level. We don't see a US 46 shield here, so maybe, I guess, New Jersey considers 46 to be over, even though we haven't seen an N US 46 shield. And here is where we finally merge into Interstate 95, as we can see one more pull through for the George Washington Bridge, upper level left lane, lower level right lane. So that is going to end Eastbound US 46, and now we're going to start going the other way and talking about Westbound US 46. We will start on the New York side of the George Washington Bridge. Here is one of my own pictures of Interstate 95 and US 1. As we can see, the upper level is where all trips to New Jersey are getting assigned to. And I went on the lower level here. Here, as I look out over the Delaware River on the George Washington Bridge. And on the George Washington Bridge, we get this sign saying US 1946 and New Jersey 4, keep left. And here at this gantry, we get a whole bunch of signs listing some exits that are coming up, including our ramp to US 1, 9, and 46. Even though I guess, once again, US 46 doesn't actually start here, because here's where the actual ramp splits off from Interstate 95, and we get these shields of South US 1 and 9 to 46, and we get the control city of Palisades Park. A little bit further down the road, we get this mile marker, US 1, mile 64.5. And here, when we meet New Jersey Route 63, we can see we get a pull-through which does have US 46 westbound on it, along with southbound US 1 and 9. Here is where we will leave US 1 and 9, as once again they get signed for Broad Avenue. And we get signed to Interstate 95, New Jersey Turnpike. And at our interchange for southbound Interstate 95 and also westbound Interstate 80, if you wanted to get back on there, once again, it just gets signed as New Jersey Turnpike and Teaneck Road. If you're going to have the Interstate 95 and 80 shields on there, you should sign this as Philadelphia and Scranton. Give proper control cities to both of these great routes, and also give them sensible ones. Ugh. This is so freaking stupid. Also, we get a westbound US 46 pull-through, and there is no control city listed here. So overall, this gantry is just really stupid. And now here is the first westbound US 46 reassurance shield that I could find, along with a mile marker for US 46, mile 71. We meet the Garden State Parkway once again, and as before, it gets no control city. Also, once again, these signs have seen much better days. And we get another ramp to it when we meet New Jersey 20 a second time, as we also get signed to Interstate 80, and our control city here is Clifton. Once again, we're kind of already in Clifton, although I think this makes a little bit more sense than the Elmwood Park sign from before, because we're still like at the very eastern edge of Clifton. On the eastbound direction, we were like right about to meet the exit for Elmwood Park, so in this case I think it makes more sense to sign the city that technically we're already in the city limits of. Also, take a look at that diagram on the overhead sign. Isn't that crazy? Here's an overhead view of this interchange with New Jersey 20 and the Garden City Parkway. Maybe not as crazy as some of the other stuff we've seen, but yeah, just like still very messy. Anyways, when we meet New Jersey Route 21, we can see that now our control city is going to be Dover, and I think that does make sense. Here's another one of these stupid "Your Highway Taxes at Work" sign that they have all over New Jersey, and who really cares about this? Like, what is the purpose of having these signs? Like, who needs to know about this? I feel like you should be spending your money on trying to make sure that your control city signage is good. So stupid. Anyway, a little further up the road, we get this pull through where we now get signed for Wayne and Parsippany. And these control cities are closer to us than Dover, so New Jersey's being a little inconsistent here. And then here's another pull through where we get signed for Denville. And yeah, like, I have no idea what they're doing here. Seems like they just can't stick to one consistent control city. It's really weird. I don't know. We're just going to move on to our interchange with New Jersey 23, where we also get a mention of Interstate 80. Northbound New Jersey 23 is getting signed for Butler, southbound for Verona, and we are getting signed for Fairfield. So again, a completely different control city than what we had seen on the last three signs. And Interstate 80 is getting signed for Delaware Water Gap. You know, it should be Scranton, because Scranton is the first city of importance in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's not on Interstate 80 itself, but it's not that far away by taking Interstate 380. So yeah, just sign Scranton. Come on, New Jersey, why are you being provincial? And then on the first mild sign that I could at least find on US 46 westbound, we are getting signed for Delaware Water Gap, which, I mean, I don't really like that either, but I suppose it's better to sign US 46 for Delaware Water Gap than Interstate 80. But I really feel like Hackettstown could just be the bottom line here, because once again, that is also like a different control city that is farther away than anything else we've seen. I don't know. It's really stupid. And so is this gantry right here, where we get no control city on our pull through, as we see once again Interstate 80 getting signed to Interstate 287, Dover, and Delaware Water Gap. How about replace that Delaware Water Gap with Scranton, because Dover, yeah, I can understand it being on that sign because it'd be faster to take 80 to Dover from here, but like for our sign, can we at least get like Denville or something? That would still be better. And speaking of Denville, we have another interchange with Interstate 80 there. This time we get direct access to westbound Interstate 80, although still not for eastbound Interstate 80 because, well, I mean, I guess that wouldn't really make too much sense anyways. And I'm not going to talk about that sign in the distance because it's just stupid and I'd just be rehashing myself. But something uniquely stupid for like the 1000th time in this video so far is when we come into Dover and we meet New Jersey 15 once again. It's getting signed for Sparta as we saw before. But they placed this bridge ISIS before road warning sign right in front of it so you can't really see it. Come on, New Jersey. Like, you couldn't at least put the sign a little bit more east so that people could actually read it? Ugh, what are you guys doing? Absolutely ridiculous. So unhelpful. The next mileage sign that we will take a look at in this video once again has Delaware Water Gap on the bottom line at 37 miles away, so once again, I still don't really like seeing that as a control city, but it still makes more sense to sign us for it than Interstate 80. We come into Netcong once again, and we meet New Jersey Route 183 is getting signed south for Somerville and New York, because as you can see, that will take you over to US 206 and Interstate 80, and northbound it gets signed for Newton. Once again, we don't see any control city for US 46 like we did on eastbound. Although, since we have like our millionth interchange for Interstate 80 at this point, I decided to take a look at Interstate 80 and see what our control city is from there. This is one of my own pictures that I took right here on Interstate 80 on my final leg of my big road trip. And we can see that we are getting signed for Hackettstown right here. Also, that is the control city that we get on New Jersey 183 as well. Here is the sign for that. The last mileage sign, at least that I could find on US 46 westbound, still has Delaware Water Gap on the bottom line at 24 miles away. And we meet New Jersey Route 31 once again, getting signed for Trenton as we saw before. And in this case, I don't know if I actually agree with signing for Trenton, because, like, if you're coming eastbound on 80 from Pennsylvania and you get on 46 here, for example, yeah, this would be how you get to Trenton. But if you've come all this way west on 46, then I feel like you would have had better routes to Trenton. But I guess I can't assume everything, although I just feel like Washington would be fine to throw on that first line. And now we come to our final junction with Interstate 80 once more, and it is getting signed east along with New Jersey Route 94 for New York City and Blairstown, as we're about to have our ramp for westbound Interstate 80 to Pennsylvania 611, Delaware Water Gap, and Portland. I mean, you can have Portland be on that top line, but again, replace Delaware Water Gap with Scranton. And we can also see that we get a sign for Columbia, which is like a teeny tiny little unincorporated community that we're sort of in right here. Here's the ramp for Pennsylvania 611 going to Portland, and 80 once again, Delaware Water Gap. Notice, by the way, there's a mile marker here that says there's a half mile left of US 46. Although if we follow the Columbia ramp for half a mile, we just come to this intersection with a stop sign and a US 46 shield telling us that if we make a left turn, we can get back to US 46. And I looked at all the possible movement options from westbound 46. It looks like there is no N46 shield on either side at all whatsoever, so that's pretty lame. Although you can say that for pretty much almost everything that we have talked about in this video, because once again, this route only runs in New Jersey and it should not be signed as US 46. With all that being said, let us move on now to Quarter March 437's The Way It Should Be for US Route 46. And to start, as I mentioned towards the beginning of the eastbound portion of this video, I would say our first control city should be Trenton because of the New Jersey 31 junction, which would be the fastest way to Trenton from the eastern beginning of US 46, anywhere on 80 just west of there. And then I'd say Hackettstown should be our control city from that junction, because it's the first place of any real significance that US 46 actually goes to. And then from there, I'd say Netcong should be our control city because of the junction with US 206, and also Interstate 80 goes there as well. Also, it's a reasonably sized place for a US highway to be signed for, I would say. And then after that, I'd say Dover because it's the next pretty significant sized town that we go to on US 46. And then from there, I'd say Parsippany because of all the major junctions that are in that city, and it's a pretty decently sized exurb of New York. And from there, I'd say Clifton should be the next control city. And in Clifton, I'd say it's fine to start signing New York because you're not as far away from it as you would be in any of these other places, and it wouldn't save you as much time to try and cut back over to Interstate 80. Going westbound to start, I'd say Clifton is fine. And then after that, we should be signed for Parsippany because, again, all those major junctions there, and it's a pretty big, I mean, it's not really a huge place. It's pretty decently sized for this route anyways. And then after that, I'd pretty much just go the reverse of what I mentioned in the eastbound part of this way. It should be Dover, Netcong, and then Hackettstown, because also a thing about Hackettstown, it's pretty much one of the only places that US 46 exclusively goes to. Most of these other places you can also get to by taking Interstate 80, but I mean, you gotta sign US 46 for something, so I think these are all reasonable places for it to be signed to that I've mentioned. And then finally, in Hackettstown, I would honestly just sign Scranton, because the whole reason they're signing Delaware Water Gap is because that's where Interstate 80 goes. But, like, I hate Delaware Water Gap as a control city. Honestly, just sign Scranton, because that's where Interstate 80 will lead you to with Interstate 380. So, yeah, there you go. There's the way it should be for US Route 46. Now, with all of that being said, I would now like to tell you about the next couple of plans that I have for Control City videos on this channel. Following this video immediately is going to be the US 85 southbound video, and then after that it is going to be my own version of Interstate 476. After that, I don't really have anything set in stone yet, but I'm hoping when I get to the US 85 southbound video, I shall have some more information for you. But now, let us conclude this US Route 46 video with me saying that, as always, if you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like, leave a comment down below if you have any feedback for me or if you want to discuss this route. Of course, if you really enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. And until the next video, everyone, I will see you then. Peace.